My life be like, ooh, yeah, ooh. My life be like, ooh, yeah, ooh.
What's up guys, Noah here back on the channel, and for today's video we have a round of mine that took place at Boulder Woods Disc Golf course, which is at Gifford Pinchot State Park, about 15 minutes from me. I have the full round footage, every single shot, and I'm actually going to do some voice commentary on it, which is coming up here next. Played a pretty good round, so I think you guys are going to enjoy this footage and this video coming up next for you. Have fun watching. Alright guys, so we started out on hole 4 here at Boulder Woods Disc Golf course. Hole 1 was a little crowded with people, so we jumped ahead a little bit. This first hole, this is a dog leg to the left, only 205 feet, and you can see I showed the tee sign as well as what it looks like off the tee for all these shots. So for this first shot of the round, I'm throwing my overstable mid-range. It's a special edition anvil. I can trust it not to get too much glide and really fade to the left hard. You can see there I got a nice skip up to the basket and started with a nice birdie for the round. This next hole, hole 5, is one of the longer holes on the course. It's 425 feet, still a par 3. You really want to navigate through this first set of trees and then just fade somewhere down the fairway. This is one of the harder birdies to get on the course, so me personally taking a 3 is fine. This is my G-Star Shrike, looking to throw it on hyzer and have it flip up down the fairway. And it does do that, but it does catch a late tree, and then I find myself in a weird spot for the upshot, and even a harder spot to film. So in my hand right there, I have, it looks like my Streamline Stabilizer. It's an overstable putter I picked up, really nice for upshot flicks and backhands. So you can probably see where I'm putting. It looks like just a mud puddle. They think there might be like a broken spring or something and water's just coming out everywhere, but it is just like a mud puddle all the time. So I got a 4 there, my first bogey. Coming here to hole 6, it is 245 feet with a Mando on the right. So you just have to make sure you navigate to the left of that tree and not go to the right of it. So for my tee shot, I have a Sexton Firebird I picked up, and I'm just looking to flick it straight down the left side of the fairway, have it fade back to the basket. Minimal skip on the ground because it is pretty wet still, but I find myself right at the edge of circle looking to cash in this birdie. Just for your info, I am putting with the Triple S Voodoo by Gateway. It's one of their straighter putters, and I just don't get it high enough. Looking to really make that one, not 100%, but I still should be making those. Alrighty, on to hole 7 here, one of the shorter holes on the course, only at 165 feet. Another Mando to the right, so we have to stay to the left of that tree, if you can see up there with the M and the arrow. I'm throwing the same disc, my Sexton Firebird, looking to keep it low beneath the one branch and have it skip off the path. There is a little bit of harder ground here, so you can get a little better ground action. And you can see there I get a skip, and then it does settle about 20 feet from the basket. So let's see if I can cash this one in. And there we go. That's the putt we're looking for. Alright, so coming into hole 8, we are at 1 under par right now. This is one of the harder holes on the course at 405 feet. Off the tee, it fades a little bit to the left, but then you have to come back right. So I choose to throw my G-Star Wraith on a forehand line, try to turn it, and then come back right. But I just don't get enough turn on it, and I find myself pretty early in the fairway in a tricky position where you can see right there I'm deciding if I want to throw a forehand or a backhand. Eventually, I do decide to go with the forehand with my Sexton Firebird to get a turnover line to hit this really tight gap. And I do hit it, but it just was hard to get enough power behind it to get to the basket. So I find myself still on the right side of the fairway, looking to just get a putter upshot to get it near the basket and just save my bogey at best case. So I do slide a little bit past the basket, and now I'm putting for a bogey, which is one of the hardest things to do because you're in your head about it and just get some weird lift. And I end up taking a 5 on that hole, putting me at 1 over par for the course right now. Alright, on to hole 9, which is one of my personal favorites on the course. It is 275 feet, straight uphill, and then just fades off to the left at the very end. This is really good for me because I get to throw one of my favorite discs, which is a Star T-Bird. Just throw it with a little hyzer, have it flip up straight, and then hopefully fade to the basket at the end. And as we see here in a second, this is one of my better shots of the round, and it sits right next to the basket there for a tap-in birdie, so we're back to even for the course. Moving on to hole 10, which is a 285-foot shot. It goes uphill and then back downhill over a pile of rocks. What I throw here is a somewhat flippy M3, which is a Prodigy mid-range. I look to release it on hyzer and then get it to flip over right and just fade down to the basket. I release it with the right line, but just not enough angle on the disc, and it hits one of the early trees down there if you can see it fall down. So I just have a little run at birdie, but just most likely an upshot, just to salvage my par. Yeah, I just clipped that tree right there. And then still leave myself with a tester, but I should be making these, so there we go. Still sitting at even par. Okay, hole 11 here, one of the harder holes on the course. It is a dogleg right, but you can't really throw your forehand because you need it to drift down to the basket, which, since it is 300 feet, so I throw my Champion Sidewinder, which I can trust to turn out of my hand and then fade down the fairway, hopefully back to the basket. This one does go uphill and then back downhill, so keeping it at the right height is very important. Right there I keep it just a little too low to get the full flight down to the basket, but really not in any trouble. You can see here I have about an 80-foot jump putt. I still can run it, but really the hopes of making it aren't that high. Just go behind the basket and leave myself with about a 25-foot putt for par. So right now we're still at even par for the round. Hole 12 is a 210-foot shot, dogleg right with a Mando on the right. So you're just looking to throw a forehand past that Mando and then have it fade sharp to the right. So again, I'm throwing my Sexton Firebird, which is overstable and reliable. Put a little anhyzer on it, but I really yank it over for some reason and get one of those early trees. And find myself in a funky situation, which you really shouldn't find yourself in a hole this short. Again, deciding if I should go forehand or backhand. Eventually end up going with a T-Bird forehand, and I do get it up within about 20 feet of the basket, and should have about a tap-in par, still even on the course. Okay, hole 13, debatably one of the harder holes on the course. It's a 245-foot shot, dogleg left, with a double Mando. So you have to split those trees, as you can see in the middle of the fairway right there. It is a big gap, but it can get in your head. As many of you know, when there's a gap you have to hit, sometimes it just gets a lot smaller in your head. I'm throwing my overstable Anvil mid-range. Do pull it a tad right, but the overstable finish gets me a tap-in birdie. Puts me at 1 under for the course. Hole 14, it's a 270-foot shot, dead straight, but keeping the height here correct is important because it goes up a little bit and then back down, which is a consistent theme on this course. So again, I'm throwing my pretty flippy M3, which is the Prodigy mid-range, looking to release it with hyzer and then flip up down the fairway. And I do that, put too much turn on it, but it gets extremely lucky down the fairway and weaves through all the trees for a birdie look, actually a tap in, about 15 feet past the basket to put me at 2 under for the course. Alrighty, so on to hole 15, I got a 2 birdie stretch going right now, looking to make it 3 with a 225-foot dogleg to the left at the very end, pretty straight off the fairway. I'm throwing my overstable Streamline Stabilizer putter, looking to just throw it straight and then have it fade at the last second. Release it with a good line right there, fading down towards the basket, coming in a little too fast, and I end up actually skipping past the basket with a pretty long putt here. This would be a good one to make. Get it high enough, and there we go, right over the cage. Get down to 3 under for the course. On hole 16, one of the longer holes on the course, 340 feet, straight uphill with a Mando on the left. You can see that white sign right there. You have to go to the right of the tree behind that, and it gets in your head a little bit, so you have to make sure you throw something overstable as to not miss that Mando. From this angle, it is a little hard to see, but I absolutely smashed that disc, and I'm about 34 feet from the basket, right outside the circle. So I can jump putt this, and I'm looking to make one from this distance. It's a pretty comfortable distance for me for the jump putt, and just right, and it just trickles out the basket for my 4th straight birdie. Really wanted that one, but we will take the par. All right, so -3 for the round right now, going into hole 17, which is a 210-foot shot. Again, I'm throwing my streamline stabilizer just straight down, looking for it to glide to the left at the last second and then just drop next to the basket. It's a pretty tight fairway, but as long as you hit the initial gap, you should be good to get at least a look at the 2. I release it right there, a little bit right, but again, if you're throwing those overstable putters, you can rely on those to fade right and miss some trees. So I get myself with about a 15 to 18-foot putt here, looking to cash it in, and there we go, to get to -4 for the round. Hole 18, it's a 230-foot shot, pretty straight, and I believe I'm throwing my streamline stabilizer again, which is a very trusty disc for me. If I put enough turn on it, it can go dead straight with just a little bit of left finish at the end, and controlling the distance on that is very easy as well. Get a good line release out of my hand. Doesn't fade as much as I wanted, but the distance is correct, and I leave myself with about a 20-foot putt here, coming back to the basket to get to -5 for the round, and there we go, can it in. Alrighty, so we are wrapping back to hole 1 since we did start on hole 4. This is a 200-foot shot straight down the fairway. You can see the yellow basket up ahead. Really just trying to throw something pretty slow, dead straight, and not very much right or left finish at the end. I am throwing my AVR 3 with a fan grip on just a slight flex line and just trusting it's going to dive right down to the basket. This was an ace run, so you can see my reaction just a little bit short, and then it did end up sliding past the basket somehow with that giant rock in the way. Leave myself a tester, but I do can it, get myself to -6 for par on the round. Hole 2 is a 300-foot shot. Right off the tee, there's a dead straight gap right there, but I actually take the skinny gap to the right between that skinny tree and then the big tree. It's a pretty open hyzer line if you can hit that initial gap, which I'd say I hit like 80% of the time. I do hit it there, but just release it a little too high. We had some wind coming off the lake from the right, and it just pushed it left a little bit. Probably should have thrown something a little more understable, but still find myself about 50 feet from the basket looking for a jump putt. From this distance, I use my AVR 3, try to get it high enough and just right off the cage for a 2. That one would have put me to -7, which would have been huge for the round, but still no damage with a par on hole 2. Alrighty guys, so last hole, hole 3 for the round. I'm at -6 right now. This is a 305-foot shot. Off this tee pad, there are just trees everywhere. So you're looking to lace something down the middle with a little flip and then fade to the basket. Getting a 2 on this is I'd say it's a gift. So I'm always fine with getting a 3, and I just clank an early tree right there, leaving myself with a lot of work to do. I bust out this overstable destroyer forehand, looking to really flex it down the left side of the fairway and fade back. I like that shot out of my hand, but I just kept a little too much turn, and I leave myself about a 40-foot putt to the left of the basket. So if I get this one in for the par, finish the round -6. Let's see, it's up, and good putt to finish the round. Those always feel good when you can leave the course thinking about that and not have that sour taste in your mouth. So as you see here, this is the scorecard for the final round. Started off kind of slow with that bogey and the double bogey, but really picked it up along the back 9 with 6 birdies out of 7 holes. Alright, so hope you guys enjoyed that video. It's always fun to get out and play around, especially when I have someone to film me and I can watch it back later. As I said, I'm going to continue to do these videos for courses around me. That was actually my home course, which is the one I play most often. So it was cool getting that video and just being able to watch it back and do commentary on. So stay on the lookout for future videos and new courses that I'll be playing. See you guys next time.
My life be like, ooh, yeah, ooh. My life be like, ooh.